aren't means. Solid response. Bad is a valid choice. Movement of frog. Smart move. Hop is an accurate answer. Rip was asleep for. Nice work. You chose 20 years and it is correct. Rip slept through the. Bravo. Revolutionary War is the answer. Who does he refer to? Well reasoned. Shadow is the correct choice. Meaning of errant is. Valid point. Bad is true. Hard of hearing means. Correct response. Diff is the most accurate answer. Robinson Crusoe had a dash. On track. Boat is the correct answer. When your shadow is tallest. Well done. Morning is the right choice. Select the correct spelling. Nice selection. Sleepyhead is the correct and valid answer. Who is the poet of this poem? Correct. Robert Louis Stevenson is the right answer. Shadow is longest in the dash. You're right. Morning is the correct answer. The mood tone of this poem is. Strong choice. Silly is the right answer. Select rhyming word of dish. Nicely done. Fish is a solid answer. Who tricks the boy in the poem? Right again. Shadow is a valid answer. 3. What do you mean by errant? Right choice. C. Bad is the best answer. What is the antonym of proper? Smart pick. Improper is the correct choice. 5. Who jumps into bed before you? Sharp thinking. B. Your shadow is the right choice. In which time few can't be seen? Good thinking. Day is the right answer. What you called your last finger? Excellent choice. Small is the right answer. Fred is the name of which animal? Exactly. Frog makes sense and it is right choice. Do you need light to see a shadow? Great job. Yes is the accurate answer. The poet saw dash on the buttercups. Clear logic. Your choice dewdrops is sound and 100% true. How do all the proper children grow? You chose very slow, and it is correct. Can you see your shadow in the dark? Well picked. No is the correct answer. How many stanzas does this poem have? Good job. Your answer 4 works well here. What is the rhyme scheme of stanza 1? Great thinking. AAB is the right choice. Who is the poet of the poem My Shadow? You got it. Your choice, Jan Nigro, is right. What does heels up to the head mean? Perfect. Completely is the correct choice. The shadow shoots tall just like in Dash. Excellent. Indian rubber ball is a brilliant choice. What do you think your shadow looks like? Perfect. Like me is the correct choice. Shadow sometimes gets taller like in Dash. Good thinking. India rubber ball is the right answer. Which of these lines from the poem rhyme? Well done. Lines 11 and 12 is the right choice.
He is like me from the dash up to the dash.
Great thinking. Heels, head is the right choice.
When the shadow shoots up, what is it like?
You're right. India rubber ball is the correct answer.
My shadow is told in the dash point of view.
Excellent choice. First person is the right answer.
What is the great error in Rip's character?
Nice selection. Laziness is the correct and valid answer.
What is the rhyme scheme of the first stanza?
Smart move. Abe is an accurate answer.
Which of the following is not used for shadow?
Good job. Your answer smart works well here.
Which word best describes the speaker's shadow?
Excellent. Playful is a brilliant choice.
For teenagers, I saw many houses dash were quite spacious. You chose which? And it is correct. True or false? This poem has a rhyme scheme.
Right choice. True is the best answer.
In the poem, the poet compares his shadow to dash.
Right again. A rubber ball is a valid answer.
8. He is very, very like me. Who does he refer to?
Strong choice. Poet's shadow is the right answer.
Select the describing word I have a little shadow.
You got it? Your choice little is right.
I rose and find the shining dew. Rose here means
valid point. Past tense of rise is true.
the dash a thing about him is the way likes to grow. Exactly. Funniest makes sense and it is right choice. The old lady dash I met in your house is my neighbor.
Correct. Whom is the right answer?
Select the name of the poet of the poem.
Well picked. Robert Louis Stevenson is the correct answer.
If you are facing the sun, your shadow will be formed. Sharp thinking. Behind you is the right choice. In the poem, shadow of the boy is exactly like the dash. Smart pick. Boy is the correct choice. Can an object form two or more shadows at the same time? Solid response. Yes is a valid choice. What does the speaker's shadow do when he jumps into bed? On track. Jumps before him is the correct answer. Shadow of the boy gets so dash, as if was not there at all. Nicely done. Little is a solid answer. How is the shadow's growth different from children's growth? Nice work. You chose it is fast and it is correct. When the sun shines, I can see my shadow right in dash of me.
Clear logic. Your choice front is sound and 100% true.
What does the shadow do when the speaker gets up before the sun? Bravo! Stays in bed is the answer. After seeing nothing for 2 or 3 days, Robinson became dash.
Correct response. Boulder is the most accurate answer.
Fill in the blanks. I like reading books to have pictures in it.
Well reasoned. That is the correct choice.
In the poem My Shadow, which is not the way the shadow is described.
Great job. Friendly is the accurate answer.
Robinson Crusoe ran back to his home as fast as he could because he... You got it. Your choice was afraid is right. If you move the torch closer to an object, the size of the shadow will. Clear logic. Your choice become larger is sound and 100% true. 2. What time of the day do you think it is when your shadow is the tallest? On track. A. Morning is the correct answer. When the shadow sticks close to him, the boy thinks that the shadow is dash. You're right. A coward is the correct answer. Fill in the blanks mathematics. Dash is my favorite subject. Is so interesting. Exactly. Which makes sense and it is right choice. Based on the description of their shadow, you can conclude the point of view from. Excellent. A small child is a brilliant choice. Fill in the right word. For he sometimes shoots up taller, like dash India rubber ball. Bravo. And is the answer? He hasn't got a notion of how children ought to play. The word notion most likely means. Sharp thinking. Idea is the right choice. I have a little shadow that goes in and out with me. The describing word in this line is. Smart move. Little is an accurate answer. Based on the information in the fourth stanza, what is the most accurate meaning of errant? Correct. Complete is the right answer. I rose and found the shining dew on every buttercup. Which part of the day is being mentioned here? Right choice. 1. Early morning is the best answer. The speaker in My Shadow says his shadow shoots up like an India rubber ball to show the reader that the shadow. Nice work. You chose grows quickly and it is correct. Read the line below from the poem. He hasn't got a notion of how children ought to play. In the sentence, the word notion probably means. Well picked. Clue is the correct answer. A. I have a little shadow that goes in and out with me, and what can be the use of him is more than I can see one. From which poem are these lines taken? Valid point. My shadow is true. B. The funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow not at all like proper children, which is very slow one. What, according to the child, is the funniest thing about the shadow? Excellent choice. His growth is the right answer. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. Strong choice. Contact Narayan Changder on Facebook is the right answer.